Malibu is known for its beautiful beaches and multi-million-dollar homes, but if you walk up and down these beaches today, this is what you'll see. There's almost no sand left, and that's because the rise in sea levels has essentially claimed much of the shorelines. It's something that has many of the residents here extremely worried about their property values. As scientists say, it's only going to get worse from here.
Flying above the breathtaking beaches of California's Pacific coast, you don't need to be a scientist to notice the change. From Malibu to Dana Point to San Clemente, shorelines are disappearing before our very eyes. But to understand what's happening here, you first have to travel more than 3,500 miles to Greenland, inside the Arctic Circle.
They'll have about a minute fall time.
5 times the size of California, Greenland is the world's largest island with about 80% covered in ice. It's also the biggest single contributor to the global rise of sea levels.
Greenland has enough ice to raise sea levels by 25 feet if it were all to melt today. But the question is, how fast is that going to happen?
Scientist Josh Willis and his team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab have been keeping a watchful eye on these melting glaciers, using satellite technology to monitor ice loss. To find out exactly what's happening in the water surrounding these glaciers, Josh has been flying an old tricked-out DC-3 plane, dropping hundreds of probes around the edges of the island.
The cylinders fall with a little parachute, they land on the water, and they actually send data back in real time so that we can see what the water temperatures are doing down below.
What he found is that it's not just that these glaciers are melting, it's how that's happening that poses the biggest threat. Turns out, meltwater from the ice rises up from the bottom of the ocean, eating away at the glaciers from below. As a result, these glaciers are disappearing 6 or 7 times faster today than they did only 25 years ago. And that's a concern not just for Greenland, but for coastal areas everywhere.
The oceans connect all of us, and that means that when ice melts in Greenland, sea level rises in Los Angeles.
Satellites are quickly emerging as one of the most effective tools in the fight against global warming, exposing greenhouse gas emissions and offering insights into the planet's changing surface. It's not just NASA. Private companies are getting in on the action, launching hundreds of tiny satellites no bigger than a shoebox that can scan the entire globe from top to bottom. With the help of NASA's satellites, Josh has been able to zero in on vulnerable areas and monitor just how fast these glaciers are disappearing. How this will affect sea level rise and how quickly is still unclear. But one thing's for sure, time is running out.
There's a certain amount of climate change that we are stuck with. We're not going to lower sea levels or rebuild ice sheets anytime in our lifetimes or our children's or grandchildren's lifetimes. But we do have an opportunity to avoid making it a whole lot worse.
3, 2, 1, drop.
Leading the fight on climate change around the globe with the help of technology that's out of this world.
And if you're wondering what the economic impact all this is having on the state of California, get this, within the next 30 years, $8 to $10 billion worth of property will be underwater. Another $6 to $10 billion will be at risk during high tide.